Welcome to the Do It All Dad Year podcast, dad-friendly entertainment for you and me. Controlling our kids through comedy, at home, on the work remote front, can make our kids great again. And this is episode 47. No, he's my daddy. Do It All Dad Halloween tip. Stay inside and play dress up with your kids and hang up an ISIS flag outside your home to scare away other trick-or-treaters. My 7-year-old daughter talking down to her elitist grandmother like an unsophisticated deplorable. A refreshing change of pace, trust me. Strawberry ice cream is a baby ice cream flavor, Mimi. Yeah, told you it was worth the wait. Daddy, why doesn't Mommy ever go to church? She's still Christian, right? She worships Mother Nature instead, and the Whole Foods quinoa salad bar offering a tad more. It's a sacred mother grain of the Incas for a reason, kid. Morning prayer in the age of Me Too. God, grant me the power to bite my tongue around thy wife, despite my bellowing temptation to talk back, critique, or suggest areas of improvement on her behalf. In the spirit of keeping our beautiful family together. Can I get an amen? I said amen. Daddy, did you know Shannon never sees her parents? Her grandparents look after Shannon and her brothers all the time. Shannon barely utters a peep. Her grandparents must be borderline catatonic. Yeah, that joke got a little confusing there for a second because I was assuming the voice of my daughter when I said Shannon barely utters a peep. But we'll keep the flow going. Daddy, I'm in Pleasantville today with my kids. Beautiful day. Daddy, and we pass by these American flags on the street. Lots of American flags in Pleasantville. Daddy, as my daughter says, Daddy, would Trump hug this flag? Thank you for capturing the essence of who our president is at his core in the most innocent-hued, patriotic-laced inquiry ever. USA! USA! It's me at the pizzeria today. It's actually happened. This response did not ensue. The beauty of comedy, to rewrite the narrative of life. When we're not quick enough in person to come up with this exact response, well, we definitely got our word in. And in the process, completely banished us from the best Sicilian in the East Coast ever recorded. Was it worth it? My children don't think so. But sometimes you just have to speak up and represent. So here we go. Pizzeria. The pizzeria guy who's offered to teach me weed growing tips. I'm not smoking weed anymore, so maybe that's why I didn't really care about pissing him off. Yeah. He also wanted to take me to White Plains to teach my kids how to fish. So I really shouldn't have let this political conversation completely ruin the sort of goodwill feeling that we've established. But I felt that he was being excessively, overtly hostile, and a complete mushbrain victim of the fake news media machine. So here we go. Pizzeria guy. Trump is a bad guy, bro. If you don't agree, we can't talk no more. Ivanka Trump is going to be president in 2024. But don't stop resisting. But Ivanka's some fallen angel, hell-bent on getting back at daddy. Can I get a holla for some holla? Notes for my new school lunch column, Crazy Good Daddy. I get up from our favorite table to get my small milk from the cafeteria, and Sharon complains again. You're always disappearing on me. She sounds like Mama, 30 years flat. Ha! Learning about Kenya. So, with my daughter. So everyone in Kenya is really rich, Matilda, or really poor? Daddy, what's really poor? Making barely enough to survive. So once you start making money again, we'll no longer be really poor, if I hear you correctly? Dada? Nah. So this is the poem that I wanted to read to you guys at the very end of this podcast. But I'm going to bless you right now, for those of you still with me. No, he's my daddy. Stop bonding with Arthur and tuck me in already. It sounds like a Mardi Gras parade in the bottom bunk drenched in confetti. No, he's my daddy, baby brother declares. It feels so good to be fought over, sowing so much despair. got a got a lot of love on WordPress. Didn't take me long to write, obviously, but that was a beautiful moment. I mean, like, what do-it-all dad doesn't want to be fought over amongst his children? Not that you want to cause divisiveness, but it's just a sign that he takes pride in me being his daddy, and I'd like to increase that pride by making the stay-at-home comedian a future bestseller. My new vision here, folks, is just at the library today. I told the kids that if the intolerant librarian, who found out I was a Trump supporter the last time, oh, you're a Trump supporter? Yes. And he's 10 times smarter than John Oliver. Yeah, and twice as funny, to be exact. Yeah, but I have to stop laughing at my own material. That was your material, I'm just riffing. But the point being is, I told him, I gotta be honest, she was doing some excessive hovering today. I'm like, Daddy, what's hovering? Hovering is like letting your presence felt and letting someone know that, you're not thrilled with their existence being in their near orbit, and you're going to try to make that situation drawn out as uncomfortable as humanly possible. Something to that effect. But she wasn't that bad. But she was hovering. But I came across this book about why Danish people have the happiest kids in the world. It pertains to, so it has some certain themes that I'm going to be covering in the Stay-at-home Comedian. Funny Dad, Happier Baby. Very funny, by the way, the Danish trying to use examples of the Danes using comedy to lighten the mood. It's like, hey, why won't you eat that smoked salmon? It's considered a high-end Jew fare, and they're pretty stingy when it comes to shelling out the shekel. So the price must be worth it. Yeah, they didn't say that, obviously, but anyway. So I came across that book, and it was so my new vision, what I shared to the kids, which I was super excited about, and I mentioned this in the podcast before, is stay-at-home comedian, controlling my kids to comedy, becomes a bestseller. And we use that money to party and vacation style in Copenhagen next summer. However, how great would it be if this do-it-all dad over here, if his book is on display at the fancy happiness-hued bookshops in Copenhagen. That would be a beautiful thing. So that would be like my Carrie Bradshaw moment, like when she goes to Paris. Oh, you have my book. Oh, it almost makes up for the fact that big can't make a big commitment to my snot-nosed veneer already. So I'm going to read to you now a piece that I love. It's obviously inspired by the Brett Kavanaugh thing, blah, blah, blah. It's called Bob Dylan's Background Check Reveals. Here we go. Bob Dylan's Background Check Reveals. He got high with a Hussein dude in Kenya once from a huge peace pipe. According to Bob, baby boomer rap Bette Midler thinks she's the unsung Lenny Bruce of Broadway for some reason. Bob Dylan's Background Check Reveals he's had less #1 hits on Billboard than Ashley Simpson. Then again, Masters of War isn't your standard lip-syncing material. Bob Dylan's Background Check Reveals Bob Dylan dumped Joan Baez because she began to sound too preachy, banshee redundant for his taste. Bob Dylan's Background Check Reveals Bob Dylan doesn't understand the movie about him with Cate Blanchett either. Bob Dylan's Background Check Reveals Bob Dylan told his son Jacob Dylan Bruce Springsteen is his only heir apparent he's allowed to call the boss with unquestioned authority. Reminds me of the time when I got my boss, Jay Moran, love you dude, who got me the TV writing break for VH1 Classic, and afterwards I had no money, but cause I already blew in love the jacket that I mentioned in the podcast earlier from me getting paid to be a TV rock and roll historian writer, which was great. And then I make him this Bruce mix. And I said, this doesn't mean I have a crush on you, boss. Ha! Bob Dylan's Background Check Reveals. Most Jews from the Bronx talk about Dylan in more loving, awestruck terms than the almighty creator himself, and tend to act morally superior deeper despite selling plastics for a living. I love you, Dad, but I gotta bust your balls. No offense. Bob Dylan's background check reveals the Grateful Dead turned down his request to become a new member of the band. Jerry Garcia says, "We're grateful for you naming your album Dylan and the Dead, even though we let you tour with us, Bob." Bob Dylan's background check reveals baby boomer arrogance never dies, especially for thinking that they're so right about Trump being bad for U.S. business interests. How much are you baby boomer resistors worth exactly before your Vanguard funds went through the roof? The Bob Dylan's background check reveals Bob Dylan almost didn't perform for the last waltz because Robbie Robertson looked way better, decked out in satin scarves and his accompanying Iceberg Slim Pimp Daddy hat than Zimmerman from Minnesota did. Last waltz, check it out tonight. Almost positive it's on Amazon Prime. It's the last show of the band. Bob Dylan does perform, and he's fantastic. Baby, let me follow you down. Baby, let me follow you down. He's awesome. You got Neil Young singing, helpless, helpless, helpless. You got Van Morrison, Van the Man. He's fantastic. And then you also got Roy Robertson completely upstaging Eric Clapton. Looks like all like pudgy, like non-heroined out during this guitar solo. It's fantastic. Muddy Waters. I'm a man. I'm a Rolling Stone. It is fantastic. And the band never looked better, never sounded better. Bob Dylan used to be the opening. They used to open for the band, hence the name. They did all their material up in Woodstock. I got married up there. Socrates, to be exact, by his gorgeous sculpture garden. We totally hijacked the idea from my wife's good friend Erica. They were going to get married there. They didn't. They got married in New Hope, which was beautiful. Anyway, so The Last Waltz definitely needs to be watched and directed by Martin Scorsese, who also directed Woodstock. So, again, one more. Bob Dylan's background check reveals lingering bitterness from Dylan over Warren Zevon doing a killer cover of Knocking on Heaven's Door right before he kicked the bucket, crooning better than Dylan ever did against the dying of the light. Really hope you guys enjoyed that performance piece as much as I did. And this one, a little more personal, it's called Grandparents Loving Grandchildren More, but Not Really. I'm never moving from Delaware unless I win the lottery. That's my mother-in-law. This is my mom. Don't move to Arizona. The schools suck here. F Facebook. Thanks for producing the laziest grandma generation ever. Zit face. Zuck. Grandparents loving grandchildren more, but not really. Pool fight again, Mom. This is mine. No pool fence. My mom says it's an eyesore. Mom, you act like you'd be erecting a barbed wire fence on an Elie Wiesel novel cover. Ha! Grandparents loving grandchildren more, but not really. Pool fence fight again, Mom. I get it, Mom. It's an eyesore. It's an eyesore. Son, it's an eyesore. An octopus tad on Lena Dunham's back fat is an eyesore, Mom. Unbelievable. Grandparents loving grandchildren more, but not really. 2 seconds into visiting. My supposed, this is Delaware with my family, 5. My supposed genius SAP consultant, father-in-law to the stars, but enough with the questions, Matilda. You're making my brain hurt. She doesn't do the local Delaware weather reports, old-timer. Yeah. She's a high-octane, super-powered, super hilarious Jewess. Deal with it. Or get left in the dust. Grandparents loving grandchildren more, but not really. You're really going to let your son's, my brother, you're really going to let your son's gum-faced fiance cockblock your pitch-perfect angelic granddaughter from being a flower girl at your son's wedding without throwing your actual weight around for once, Rosa? Yeah. So, well, actually, at one point, she did. So I shouldn't give my mother that much of a hard time, especially compared to my mother. She's, like, coming across as, like, Mother Teresa compared to my mother these days. But the, I mean, both still pretty lacking in the FaceTime with the grandchildren. But when it's all said and done, at one point, actually, my brother-in-law was going to allow his gum-faced fiance to actually disinvite and not allow our children at all to attend the wedding. Because it was like a no-kids thing, but I understand that the My father-in-law was shelling out like $5,000 or probably more than that. Not really his role or place to pay for money, because usually that's the bride, the woman's parents' responsibility. So thank God, Rosa, that you threw your weight right there. And I don't mean that in the most insulting sense, but you made your presence felt. So thank you for making that happen. I'm glad you're as distraught as we were. So I love you for it. Grandparents loving grandchildren more, but not really. We're just going to wait 3 more weeks. This is my parents I'm addressing here. Grandparents loving grandchildren more, but not really. We're just going to wait 3 more weeks to see our first grandson, because our flight was booked 1 month later. So what's the rush? Ha! Here we go. It's more parent bashing on my behalf. Grandparents loving grandchildren more, but not really. Grandma, my mother, bemoans, I know nobody talked to me at Matilda's birthday party. Hey, Ma, it's no longer about you anymore, okay? Plus, don't act like you've got riveting new material to break in either my chest, like charter schools are destroying our country. Unbelievable. Grandparents loving children more, but not really. How many cruises have you taken on them so far? How many times have my kids told me the props you've given me on what a wonderful job I've done raising their grandchildren without their around assistance? Can I get an amen? I said amen. Grandparents loving the grandchildren more, but not really. Your dad's mom is still alive, babe? Have any 3 of our children ever seen her on Skype? Yeah, but your father is thrilled with the Jew blood pumping personality in his grandchildren's veins because of yours truly. You're welcome. Ha! Grandparents loving grandchildren more, but not really. Especially when your daughter gets a toy box for Christmas, but with no toys in it. Ha! I say, don't worry, Matilda. We'll fill it up with your 8,000 Hanukkah gifts. Ha! This is called Old School Shoulder Ride. Kick it old school, Dada, and give me a shoulder ride again. It keeps you young at heart and less volatile, like Sean Penn. Shoulder ride, shoulder ride. I can't think of a better way to be carried by your side. Why I love my daughter, my first of 3. Uncle Mick might be having a kid. Since Baba adopted the dog and we're 3 hours away compared to Uncle Mick's 10 minutes, I'm going to be a distant number 3. Ha! That's my sweet, perfect, pitched daughter. Why I love my hilarious daughter, my first of 3. 4-year-old brother starts professing his extreme love for Mama over all of us, despite him just doing a yummy dance in my honor for my veggie casserole supreme. And I'm thinking, he must have felt bad for Mama. Daughter says, but Mama never plays with you. I do. Why I love my daughter. Why are we going to Delaware again in 2 weeks? Baba misses you and your 2 brothers, Mama says. Daddy also has 24 hours of A-list podcast comedy material to distill into a bestseller stand-up comedian when you're gone. So we could, again, party and vacation in style next summer in Copenhagen without their assistance and make them excessively jealous in the process. Birth of a stay-at-home comedian / father of 3. I was a major stoner throughout my 20s and 30s and forgot to ask my wife if she was still on the pill. I recall her saying it made her nauseous in between. Let me get a little breather here, folks. I just rushed into a piece I was very excited to share with you called Birth of a Stay-at-Home Comedian / Father of 3. So essentially what I'm talking about here is how I became who I am and why I'm here entertaining you right now. Or according to my wife, ranting like a raving, angry, enshrouded lunatic at my parents. So here we go. Birth of a stay-at-home comedian / father of 3. Cuddle. I'm pregnant. My wife calls me Cuddle. I call her Snug. As well as snuggle up my shaft. Yeah, here we go. Birth of a stay-at-home comedian / father of 3. Watch this. Cuddle, I'm pregnant. And I think to myself, keep your mouth shut. Tell Snuggle it's her decision, but then push for the abortion and don't be a pussy about it. It was a nice concept while lots of folks. 3 kids later, with the weed out of my system, I feel like my writing is more pregnant with possibility than ever before. Man! So I've got that going for me. Birth of a stay-at-home comedian / father of 3. My father says, don't have another kid, Michael. I can't afford it. I get my wife pregnant with our second child, Arthur Morrison Kornbluth. later that night, I'm convinced. So in the end, my son, Arthur Morrison Cornbloom, was born in the true spirit of FU parental rebellion, which is a beautiful thing. Birth of a stay-at-home comedian / father of 3. Going up for Thanksgiving, one year my father instructs, say something funny, moron. Saying, so that's all you're good for was like the general underlying implied message without actually saying the moron part? Funny. I took his advice after all. Yeah. Guess I respect my dad's opinion more than I give it credit for. Birth of a stay-at-home comedian. My mom refused to accept my connection request on LinkedIn when she used to work for JPMorgan Chase because she didn't want to be affiliated with my unstable job sales history, knowing I've been fired more than a Palestinian slingshot. Boy, is that punchline older than Yiddish, and boy, does my wife still hate hearing it, even though I wouldn't dare to do that these days, knowing my lack of Jilt generation power over 3 years, which has to change yesterday. Birth of a stay-at-home comedian / father of 3. Cat throws me a curveball. Getting too cocky after 2 kids, thinking, who needs Facebook grandparents from afar? When I've got Big Beat Matilda to look after her younger brother. New baby brother, Samuel Gorilla Grip Cornbluth, coming right up. A.K.A. Headbangers Bull, A.K.A. when he sticks his tongue out, Java, hug, in the house. Birth of a stay-at-home comedian / father of 3. Nickname creation. By the way, hey, Danes out there writing books on Danish parenting. That's a good way you can incorporate add humor into your household. Although they hate it when you call them Little Hitler. They don't respond to that very well. But it does get the job done. Birth of a stay-at-home comedian. When you want to minimize their my son's incessant lecturing of my daughter to say, well, I don't like that outfit. I want to wear this. Shine your shoes better. They're too dirty. He didn't say that. Birth of a stay-at-home comedian / father of 3. After living in LA and Brooklyn, which I've done myself, you realize your 3 kids are superior company than most. So you decide to start your own Do It All Dad Year podcast from home to grow closer to the ones you love the most and cherish with the totality of your heart. And then, from there, write your comedic book masterpiece to get your agent already, called The Stay-at-Home Comedian. Because most stand-ups write shit prose and possess limited poetic powers of expression. Andrew Dice Clay, Adam Sandler, The Golden Jew, and the all-time great Bill Hicks excluded. Can I get a holla for some holla? Birth of a stay-at-home comedian / father of 3. Happens when you develop a love for the art of mere comedic creation. In the form of spec scripts, TV pilots, blogs, short stories, videos, jokes, and poems. Despite being called crazy for 2 decades straight and counting. But once you start making money off the funny, you don't hear the branding shots of crazy no more. Birth of a stay-at-home comedian / father of 3. You can only hear you're not funny from so many fat, balding fellow Jews in various dead-end sales jobs before you become obsessed with proving to yourself you're more than just another schmuck in a headset. Great line, I know. Birth of a stay-at-home comedian / father of 3. Brian Brick making fun of your knock-kneed running style in pre-K when you should have wiped your ass with this Q-tip head. Ugh. Always regret that. Anyway, feedback with punchlines. Pathetic. Birth of a stay-at-home comedian / father of 3. Growing a half-formed beard while working as a recruiting manager again for the evil empire at Robert Half in Manhattan, and getting fired for developing a half-formed stubble while writing my pilot for Nick DiPaolo, my lunch breaks, and upstaging my boss in karaoke after work to prove who was the real man and a half. Because it's the other half that knocks the women out. That's why they call me a man and a half. I am so not Wilson Pickett. By the way, for the record, Kevin, our offer still stands. New book out on Wilson Pickett. Biographies don't exist on him, and you'd be perfect. And Eddie Murphy would hate himself for life and feel like a complete abject failure. So let's work together already and make that happen. Birth of a stay-at-home comedian / father of 3. Coming as a Trump supporter, as a father of 3, after last year's summer of terror, and become a social pariah among fake news friends and so-called loving family, kids excluded, because you identify the so-called crazy, stupid, unapologetic, hilarious American patriot President Trump represents. Can I get a USA? USA! Birth of a stay-at-home comedian / father of 3. Being sent to a fancy sleepaway sports camp in Kent, Connecticut, only be the second worst athlete there after the Sheik's son from Great Neck. And this, of course, talking about the same kid who chose to blow off canteen mixers with the sister camp to read crack magazine comics in bed alone because he was paralyzed with fear and realized that he had nothing to talk about with the girls in the canteen, which is another canteen mixer gone. Birth of a stay-at-home comedian / father of 3. Let it. Your so-called best friend in high school, who's now in the wrestling team, try out a cowboy maneuver on you and do no form of retaliation in return whatsoever, except fight back on stage, and the page ever since with relentless, never get interfere again fury. But to be honest, I'm not really hung up on that. I was talking about my friend Ari there. I haven't talked to him in ages. I really don't want that friendship to be over. Ari was my best friends before this guy Barry got involved. We watched Dice together. We watched Hot to Trot, Emmanuel's show after dark. We did videos to Guns N' Roses. We did our senior sketch together. It was the first time I ever realized I could write funny. I love you, dude. I've been very harsh. And, he's a kidney doctor. He lives in Connecticut. But, last time I saw him, he goes, keep writing. That was really great. Gave me good advice, too. He's like, Josh, stop being so hung up on the wordplay. And he's like, Josh, Michael, what you have, understand I grew up Josh. I'm now officially Michael Kornbluth. My name, birth certificate, Michael Joshua Kornbluth. Not trying to hide anything. But now I go as Michael. Because there's another Josh Kornbluth on Google, and he's a total Google hog. I can't Google Josh Kornbluth without his fat face filling up the first gazillion pages of Google. So, for ego purposes and for discovery purpose alone, we decided to go with Michael Kornbluth. Also, Michael in the Bible, from what I learned, does defeat the devil. So I like the symbolic undertone of me conquering my lushy, pothead addictions of yesteryear. So, and for keeping my assholishness at bay. But, Ari said it was this place in Connecticut, the best looking lawn ever. I go, if I dropped a hot dog in here right now, I would eat it, pick up the ground, no problem. We saw the last Grateful Dead show at the Capitol Theater, Simulcast. That was beautiful. Had a lot of great time visiting Ari at Washington University. So he's actually a alumni with Harold Ramis, the late Harold Ramis. We went to school there. And we met from Mardi Gras. So a lot of great memories. Name was Alaska Scarlet, which I think is really cool. Great Grateful Dead song. And his wife's very sweet, Melissa. Really nice quality Jewess gal. And I mean that in an affectionate sense, not in a, I hate Jewish girls. I think she's my sister sort of sense. Although, I will admit that I do, whenever I've had an affection for a Jewish girl, being raised a Jewish New Yorker, I have always really viewed them more as a sister type character. I always wanted a Jewish sister. So, so that comes from an affectionate place when I say Jewess. And I remember Ari saying, he's like, listen, because Ari's funny, he's quick-witted and everything. He loved Louis C.K. And he said that, he's like, Josh, I'm funny, but you got imagination. And he's like, you just crank out ideas. I'm like, really? That's uncommon? He's like, you don't know that? And that was really wonderful. Of course, I shared this with my mother, and she's just wants nothing to do with the conversation. I'm talking about a kid who went to Washington University's, partner in a kidney practice, and he's really done great in this world. Yeah, he's a real mensch. So, love you, bud. Can't wait to meet your entire family again. After Trump came, the last time, literally, it was the last time I spoke with Ari. After Trump won, I sent him a text saying, I just pray that they build a wall around the strip clubs in Montreal right now so Lena Dunham could scare away the clientele. So Lena Dunham won't... Let me repeat that. I just butchered that. After Trump won, I said, Ari, I don't believe I'm scared of doing a Lena Dunham show. What the hell's wrong with me? This is what the world has created. I said, Ari, now that Trump is president, I just pray that they build a huge wall around all the strip clubs in Montreal so Lena Dunham doesn't scare away all the clientele. There you go. And he gets back to me, he goes, funny, but there was some other comment, I don't want to comment about it, he wasn't happy with Trump winning, but he still gave the funny props, so I love you, dude, for doing that. I really do. When I started doing Yelping, and it's Josh, I don't have to read your stuff, I really enjoy it. So, and he also read my 30 Rock back in the day and gave me feedback. It's probably need a new ending. And if he didn't say that, I wouldn't become a recommended writer. So, sorry for being a dick, dude. You've been a good friend. I know you've been involved in your own world, but I cherish our memories together. I really do. Especially that one night where we literally sang Rock and Roll All Night by Kiss while drinking Budweiser Tall Boys and malt liquor and lots of sprayed weed from the Bronx. Tastes like Windex till literally like 2 o'clock in the morning. And we knew this kid Jeremy Sloan, who's not like a hotel entrepreneur. Owns all these like chic boutique hotels in LA and Manhattan. Used to be Scott Rubin's assistant. Yeah. Anyway, love you, dude. Ari Geller. You ever need a good kidney doctor? He's got to look up in Connecticut. Birth of a stay-at-home comedian / father of 3. My own dad hasn't called me to wish me happy birthday for 2 years in a row. So you can't be too perplexed at my obsession with seeking love from strangers on Twitter and WordPress through poetic prose and endless laugh yankers galore. This is a Do It All Dad Year podcast. Dad-friendly entertainment for you and me. Controlling our kids through comedy. For all the Danish fans of this podcast out there. For the Danes listening. Controlling your kids through comedy can make our kids over here in America great again. Obviously, I don't really think you really have many legendary comedians to come out of your neck of the woods, but you're obviously doing a good job over there. I can't wait to celebrate your city in Copenhagen and to nosh on some primo smoked fish and to really feel truly alive and in control of my destiny. You know, the George Bernard Shaw's this line where he goes, "To be in hell is to drift, but to steer is divine." And couldn't agree with George Bernard Shaw some more. Not, for the record, he lived to like 92 and he was vegetarian. I'm not going there, George, but we have been rocking the pescatarian diet all week, and I do feel slightly enlightened for it. And we're going to keep it going. Just got to chill out my wine intake, and we'll feel more like Buddha like by the second. So I love all of your sustained interest in this podcast. Again, Stags Plumbing, my hashtags for FinTech, EdTech, Entrepreneur. I thank you so much for being a part of this comedy creation process, because as you can tell, for those that listen, I do perform jokes that you give love, that you spread out there to the Twitter sphere. So thanks again. And I love giving my children shoulder rides. I wish every man in this world could be given the opportunity to do that. And so they could really get in touch with their inner nurturer and get in touch with their inner Babe Ruth. You know, Babe Ruth had this theory saying that, well, it's not Babe Ruth's theory, but, you know, he was an orphan and, you know, obviously didn't really feel that, you know, complete encompassing love from dad. And they say as a result, you know, he's really like great with kids, and they weren't even his kids. So my kids have softened me up and made me more loving to other kids. I open up with that ISIS joke, but my kids have definitely brought out my nurturing side, and I'm proud of it. I embrace it. I celebrate it, and I can't wait to wax even more poetic about it and throw it out to the world. You know, to inspire other dads and aspiring doodle dads to do so. Have a great weekend, everybody. USA, USA, and I'll talk to you guys soon.